one man's opinion. Today I am reviewing Long Wharf Theater's production of Coqui Espectacular and The Bottle of Doom, written by Matt Barbot, directed by Kinan Valdez, running through February 23rd at the Lyman Center for the Performing Arts at Southern Connecticut State University at 501 Crescent Street in New Haven, Connecticut. Leap at the opportunity to support my work here for as little as $1 a month by becoming a patron over on my Patreon page. There you can get exclusive content like retro reviews and restaurant reviews, as well as early access to episodes of my classic cinema podcast, Yesterday's Matinee, currently featuring our latest episode, 1929's Un Chien Andalou. Thank you to my current patrons, especially my Neo and Hamilton tier patrons, and welcome to the new ones. A link will be in the description. Coqui Espectacular and The Bottle of Doom is an absurd bit of theater, and I enjoyed it far more than its concept suggests. Set in New York City in 2010, mostly in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, Alex, played by Jason Sanchez, is a fledgling comic book artist who has started taking his art a little too seriously, going out at night in costume as his newest creation, the titular Coqui Espectacular, or the Spectacular Frog. Though in pretty good shape, Alex isn't the most courageous of superheroes. He lacks the skills to hold his own in a fight and lacks the confidence to intimidate even a local photographer, Yesica, played by Melissa DuPrey, who begins taking photos of Alex in his outfit, garnering him far more attention than he expected. This leads to a sponsorship for a cola company who his brother Joe, played by Xavier Cano, works for. No, Alex isn't a fighter, but he is more capable with his words than his fists, when he isn't posing as something he isn't, and that's something he has to discover over the course of the play. People may feel some close similarity with this play with the film Kick-Ass, particularly with the premise of a young man taking on a superhero persona without necessarily thinking through the repercussions of his actions. It may be coincidental that Kick-Ass came out at the same time that this play is set in, but that is pretty much where the two stories align. Coqui focuses on themes of heritage and self-identity on a cultural scale. Alex's family is from Puerto Rico, and he has been raised in New York City in a way that has acclimated him to being what people derisively call him as a Puerto Rican versus the more appreciable New Yorican. Alex's father, who was a New York City policeman, recently died in the line of duty, and Alex is looking for inspiration and identity, drawing various Puerto Rican and other Latin myths to create the fictional side of the character, even altering a ceremonial mask that had been handed down his family line for Coqui to wear, and coming up with a villain called El Chupacabra, played by Michael John Improta, who appears in Alex's fantasies as a sort of mental nemesis for Alex. There are fantastical fights choreographed by Gabriel Rosario between El Chupacabra and Coqui Espectacular, which are kind of like the subconscious struggle of Alex. It's represented by the two fighting and comic book images of onomatopoeia like pow and oof projected up on the wall upstage as the two battle each other for control of Alex's mind. It's all rather silly, but I found myself enjoying it. The fight sequences are played for laughs, but it also shows, through the giggling yet cheering audience, the fragility of identity. Alex and Joe are struggling with similar issues of determining for themselves who they are instead of letting other people dictate their identity and destiny, whether it be Alex and his lack of identity causing him to create a fictional character to find life through, or Joe struggling with a racially problematic ad campaign because being the token Latino on the marketing team takes the edge off the stereotype the soda brand is pushing. This all allows for deeper depth of character and conflict as both brothers want to take care of their mother Patricia, played by Susanna Guzman, but struggle with the possibility of losing what little Puerto Rican identity they have left for the sake of success. The cast is good. I particularly like the platonic friendship between Alex and Yesica that Jason Sanchez and Melissa DuPrey tenuously balance the characters on, and the scene when Yesica meets Patricia for the first time is hysterical. The cast and their various iterations of superheroes and villains make for comical sequences that are elevated by John Horzen's projection design, from the aforementioned onomatopoeia in the fight sequences to little Z's floating up on the wall when Alex passes out in his bedroom that remind me a bit of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which coincidentally, also came out in 2010. I wish it was more consistent, though, keeping the comic book visual imagery throughout versus highlighting it in specific scenes. But that's really a little nitpick on my part. I think most people probably wouldn't even feel one way or the other because they're not paying attention to it unless it's actually happening. The choice to have characters narrate with a voice that was reminiscent of classic comic book style, with Comic Sans text leading into the monologues, was brilliant, though. Nathan A. Roberts and Charles Coes' sound design and composition is all over the place, yet I love it, mixing the show up with reggaeton tracks to salsa to superhero action music and 8-bit tones that would have felt natural in an old-school Nintendo Entertainment System game. The music can sometimes feel bizarre, but that's what the show is, an absurd little action comedy of a young man who deals with his grief in a very bizarre way and ends up turning his world upside down and discovers that his real strength isn't in punching the enemies, but in something deeper. Comic book fans should enjoy El Coqui Espectacular, as well as anyone who likes a story about heritage and legacy, and how one can find themselves in the past while carving their own future looking ahead. But I'm only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see El Coqui Espectacular and the Bottle of Doom, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. I'll also leave links to my Patreon page, Spotify page, and social media where you can follow me and support my work. You can also support me by liking and sharing this video, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be King James at TheaterWorks Hartford. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.